All right. So today we're diving into a whole bunch of good news stories
Yes.
that you sent over, and I mean, the world can feel pretty overwhelming sometimes with all
No.
the negative stuff that's always out there. So it's I don't know, it's always good to kind of
Yeah,
take a step back and focus on some of the positive things.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's so much happening that can kind of get lost
Right.
in the noise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and we've got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about today. So, we've got everything from, space exploration
Sure.
to, new technologies to cultural stuff, even some really old stuff, like a
Yeah.
3,000-year-old city.
Yeah.
So,
I'm excited to dive in.
yeah, me too. So let's start with space exploration because that's always fun.
Sure.
Um, so NASA's Perseverance rover
Right.
just made oxygen on Mars,
Yeah.
which is pretty incredible. I mean, it
Absolutely.
sounds like something out of a movie.
Yeah, it's one of those things I think a lot of people have sort of thought about, as a future possibility,
Yeah.
but to see it actually happening
Yeah.
is really amazing, and it has huge implications uh
Right.
for future human missions to Mars.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it practically,
Hmm.
like you wouldn't have to bring as much
Oh,
stuff with you if you could just
yeah, you can just make it there.
make the oxygen there.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest challenges
Right.
with space travel in general is just the sheer amount of resources that you need to
Right.
bring with you.
Yeah.
So if you can start to produce those things on site,
Yeah.
it opens up so many more possibilities.
It's really mind-blowing to think that we could like potentially have a,
Right.
sustained human presence on
Yeah.
another planet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's still a long way off,
Sure.
but this is a really significant step in that direction.
Totally. Um, okay, so let's shift gears a little bit.
Mm.
We were talking about, having to bring all this stuff with you to space and the resources and all that.
Right.
One thing that is a huge problem here on Earth is plastic waste.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And you sent over an article about this new type of plastic
Right.
that these scientists in the UK have
Yeah.
developed.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable actually.
Yeah.
They've managed to create a plastic that decomposes in just 1 year,
Wow.
which is unheard of. I mean, traditionally plastic takes, hundreds or even thousands of years
Right.
to break down,
Yeah.
but this new material, it breaks down into completely harmless substances
So
within a year.
that's huge. I mean, that could
That
really
could be a game changer.
change things.
Yeah, I mean, imagine a world where
Yeah.
plastic waste is no longer a problem.
Right. I mean, landfills would be so.
Yeah. The oceans would be cleaner.
Yeah.
It would have a profound impact on the environment.
Totally.
Yeah.
So what do you think are some of the challenges with actually like implementing something like this on a large scale?
Well, I think there are a few things. I mean, first of all, you have the cost of production.
Right.
I mean, new technologies are always more expensive at the beginning. And so I think, bringing the cost down to a point where it's competitive with traditional plastic
Right.
is going to be really important. And then you also have the issue of infrastructure.
Right.
I mean, we need to have the facilities in place to actually compost this new plastic.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't just break down on its own. It needs
Right.
it needs the right conditions.
So it has to be kind of a whole system built around it for
Exactly.
it to really work.
Yeah, it's not just a matter of, inventing the material. It's also about
Right.
creating the whole system to support it.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so let's move on to something a little bit different.
Sure.
Um, you sent me two stories that I thought were really interesting, and they're both about technology.
Okay.
Um, One is about this new AI model
Right.
that can generate realistic human speech.
Yeah.
And the other one is about the Louvre Museum
Uh-huh.
creating a virtual reality tour.
Yeah.
Um, and at first glance, they seem kind of unrelated, but they both kind of point to this idea of
Right.
technology breaking down barriers and making things more accessible.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that's what's so exciting about these stories is that they show how technology
Yeah.
can be used to really empower people and to create new opportunities. I mean, think about
Right?
the AI speech generator, for example, that could be absolutely transformative
Yeah.
for individuals with speech impairments,
Right.
giving them a voice that they might not have had before.
Yeah, that's incredible. And then
Yeah.
with the VR tour of the Louvre, I mean, anyone anywhere in the world
Right.
can basically experience that museum.
It's democratizing access to art and culture
Yeah.
on a global scale. And I
Yeah.
think that's really powerful.
Totally. Okay, so speaking of access,
Sure.
um, Access to energy is another big issue.
And there's this town in Denmark that is now completely powered by renewable energy.
Yeah.
Which is
It's
okay.
amazing. It's a real testament to what's possible when we commit to sustainability.
Yeah. I mean, they have achieved energy independence.
They have, and they've significantly reduced their carbon footprint.
Yeah.
It's a model that other communities can learn from and adapt to their own contexts.
Yeah. I mean, it's proof that it can be done.
Exactly.
Okay, so shifting gears again a little bit.
Sure.
You included an article about a new Alzheimer's drug.
Right.
It's showing a lot of promise.
Yeah, this drug has shown some remarkable results in slowing cognitive decline.
Wow.
And while it's not a cure,
Right.
it represents a significant step forward
Yeah.
in our understanding and treatment of Alzheimer's.
Yeah. I mean, this is a disease that affects
Millions of people.
so many people.
Worldwide.
And so to have something that could potentially
Offer some hope.
offer some hope is huge.
It's a reason to be optimistic. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, now for something completely different.
Okay.
Archaeologists have unearthed this 3,000-year-old city
Yeah.
in Egypt.
Isn't that incredible?
I know, and it's supposed to be really well preserved.
Yeah, the level of preservation is remarkable.
It's like a time capsule.
It is. It's like a window into ancient Egyptian life.
Yeah. What kind of stuff are they learning from it?
Well, they're learning about their urban planning,
Uh-huh.
their social structures, even their everyday routines.
Wow.
I mean, it's giving us this incredibly detailed glimpse into what life was like back then.
It's amazing how much we can learn from the past.
It is. It's a reminder that history is still unfolding
Right.
as we uncover these new pieces of the puzzle.
Totally. And speaking of learning,
Sure.
you sent over an article about this initiative to provide free online education
Yeah.
to kids in underprivileged areas.
It's a fantastic program, and I think it's really crucial to bridging the educational divide
Right.
and empowering future generations.
Mm.
I mean, education is a fundamental right.
Yeah, totally.
And access to knowledge shouldn't be limited by geography or socioeconomic status.
Right.
This initiative is about using technology to create a more equitable world.
Totally. So we've talked about space exploration and technology
Right.
and culture and education, but we can't forget about the environment.
Of course not.
And there's some good news on that front as well.
There is.
The Siberian crane population, which was critically endangered,
Right.
has actually seen a 10% increase
Yeah.
thanks to all these international conservation efforts.
It's a shining example of how collaborative conservation efforts can make a real difference.
Yeah, I mean, it shows that even species that are
On the brink,
can recover with focused intervention.
Yeah, it's encouraging.
It's a reason to be optimistic
Yeah,
about the future of other endangered species.
totally. And to kind of wrap things up,
Sure.
the last story you sent over is about this artist
Right.
who is creating a digital art piece
Oh.
that is based on real-time environmental data. Yeah, it's a beautiful blend of art and science,
Yeah.
and by transforming this data into this dynamic visual experience,
Right.
the artist is raising awareness
Yeah.
and prompting us to reflect on our relationship with the planet.
Totally. So I don't know. I feel like we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
But I think the overall takeaway is that even though there's a lot of challenges in the world,
Right.
there's also a lot of progress being made
Absolutely.
and a lot of reasons to be hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, all of these stories speak to human ingenuity,
Yeah,
our collaboration, our drive to create a better world.
totally. So what would you say to someone listening to this who is feeling kind of overwhelmed by,
Right.
all the negativity in the world?
Well, I would say, first of all, remember that this is just a snapshot
Right.
of the positive things that are happening. There are countless other stories out there. So I encourage you to seek them out. Let them inspire you. Let them remind you of the power of human potential. And perhaps most importantly, consider how you can contribute to creating a future filled with even more good news.
That's a great note to end on.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining me today. It's been a really
Yeah.
uplifting conversation.
It has been my pleasure.
All right.
Take care. Take care.